What up?
What's up?
How y'all doing tonight?
I'm good. I am very good, actually. I'm. If I was any better, it wouldn't be legal. I don't think.
Just waiting for the storms to roll in here.
Oh
Yeah, it's windy as hell outside.
Yeah, it is. It's windy and
It is.
humid as hell. So this is going to be some pretty good storms going on.
Hi, Mickey G.
I can take a peek real quick and see what the radar says.
The radar.
The radar.
Well, everything bad looks like it's crossing the Red River, headed straight for Ardmore.
It's coming right for
We
us.
don't live in Oklahoma.
We just got green stuff.
I had something move over, but it was quick. It was short-lived. Then it headed towards Paris.
Yeah, it's just green stuff headed your way from my area.
Okay.
Yeah, it was windy as hell.
Nothing.
Good. I don't want nothing. No, it's windy as hell. But when I dropped my son off with Jen at the gas station, I was like, my hair's like freaking flying, like sideways.
That too.
And she's like, "Son of a bitch!" I'm like, no big deal. She's like, "No, I work a barbecue pit, so yeah." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." Like, windy barbecue pit, keeping the right temperature is a pain in the.
It's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Tex, if anyone was watching last night, Tex was going to the zoo. I guess you didn't make it.
No, we went and we drove around the parking lot. We drove by the front gate.
Now you know better. That's a rookie move. What time did you arrive? If it wasn't like that butt crack of dawn, then you're not going to get up.
It was 10:30ish, 11.
Oh yeah, you need to be choppered in.
It was insane the amount of people. I mean, it was a steady stream. It looked like a freaking ants marching out into an anthill, and I'm like, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. That's $20. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. I'm like, holy crap, Yeah, and you figure an average of 4 people per car, So
yeah.
It's like, good God. So we ended up, what we did, we went over to Trinity Park, and they've got this place called Dream Park, which is a playground for kids. And it's really, really awesome. It's right there on the river. It's real nice. Of course, Trinity Park is gorgeous. It's got all that old growth, oaks in it and everything. Mm-hmm. The reason we went was took my grandson. He's 7 years old. He was perfectly happy at the park. We left the park and we went down to the stockyards in North Fort Worth.
Oh yeah, I love the stockyards.
Yeah, and made a day there and did a buggy ride, walked around.
Did you get to see the cattle drive?
No, we were late for the first one, and by the time we left, it's still 2 hours till the second one. So
yeah.
But he did get a buggy ride, with the horse pulling it, and a Belgian draft horse,
mm-hmm.
A real cowboy driving it. So but we had fun. I mean, I posted some videos about it and everything. Went to I'm used to going to Risky's Barbecue, and I enjoy their barbecue. And of course, whenever I go to Risky's Barbecue, I normally don't get barbecue. I normally get the mountain oysters because that's one of the only places you can get them. And
nice.
And now they're not cooked how I like them, but they're chicken fried, so they're still good.
Oh yeah.
What do you want to
fried dumped in gravy's good. Do what?
Oh
So
yeah.
do you like them stewed? I mean, fried, I imagine, is the only way to have them.
Well, I like them fried, but not chicken fried. I like them like you would fry liver.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
You slice them and then you fry them in the pan with onions. That's what I like. That's the way I'm
Huh,
used to.
I've never had them now. It's always been deep fried, like
Oh man, they're really
fried
good.
oysters.
No, these aren't oysters.
They're mountain oysters.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, I know what they are.
I know you know what they are.
I'm hip to the gig. Yeah. They have a lot of protein. Let's just put it that way.
An extra serving.
yeah. But since we're on your show, isn't it ironic that very, very straight guys are like, oh, hell no, this is gay, that is gay, that is gay, but I'll eat me some nuts.
Cow testicles, you say?
Yeah.
Stick them in there. Just don't chicken fry them.
Actually, I heard this dude say today, and it made me laugh because if you think about it, it's true. But your hands, whether you're straight or gay or anything like that, your hands are bisexual.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Straight mans are for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean,
Well, straight people.
at one point or another.
But
yeah, that made me laugh.
But we went walking around down there in the stockyards, and they got the old train station. They turned into it's full of shops, and it's a train station. So was walking down through there, and there's this place, and I didn't understand the concept of the place. It's nothing but taxidermy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And you can't get in.
You couldn't get in today?
You can't. No. All the doors were locked down.
Oh.
Well, it was Good Friday, right? Maybe.
And no, there was people inside. There's a bar. There's a bar in there. One of the women were tending bar, and the other one was sitting at this table covered in paperwork. And I'm like, I don't understand what's going on here. But I took a picture with took a picture with a polar bear standing behind me.
Very good.
But they had polar bears. They had every damn thing you could think of: giraffes, hippos, lions and tigers and bears. Oh my! They had a stuffed alligator in there. I mean, it was every animal that you could probably think of. They had it in that damn place.
Where was it in relation to the train tracks?
It was if you're walking, if you come off of Exchange and you turn left, or turn right and go in there, it's on the left side.
Yeah, it's right there, like right there on the left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it was shut down, and they had a bar in there.
Yeah,
that's new. Maybe they're changing.
Maybe, shop. But I really wanted in that place
because there wasn't a bar in there before. That's what I was asking. I was thinking, well, maybe if it's because there's I want to say dance hall. There's like rooms, like giant rooms behind those shops in the back that you can rent out for like parties and stuff.
Right.
And they're locked down, but I was thinking like the Safari Club does have regular like dinners and special events, and they would bring taxidermy things in like that. Because we have taxidermied everything around my office that one of the owners got from a Safari Club like fire sale. Like they were just clearing out their taxidermy, making room for new taxidermy because you got to kill it. So I've got a lot of stuffed animals from that.
Now,
when you said the polar bears,
when you say stuffed animals, see that gives it a whole stuffed animals, they're not plush stuffed animals.
No, when I say stuffed animals, I mean like it's a black bear. There's a baboons floating around the office somewhere we like to scare each other with. I mean,
this is
like there's all kinds of antlered things hanging off the wall. There's a black bear everybody likes.
No, when Tex said that you took the picture with the polar bear standing behind you, I don't know why, but it made me laugh because I remember that one of the last scenes in Roadhouse, the old.
Oh yeah.
Where he's like, they're like, what happened? He's like, polar bear fell on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's standing up like that too.
Yeah. Oh,
It's a standard polar bear pose, right?
standard
But they
polar
had,
bear.
I mean, they had full elks, and these are full mounts.
Mhm.
You know, they had one really cool that was a mountain lion that was all crouched down and like that, you know, and it was fighting a bull elk.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's a huge piece.
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's
Bull
the
elk
kind of
are-
pieces
I mean,
that
as
were
you
in
know, they're giant. So
there was like an entire 10-foot gator in there. You know, I mean, it
was he snapping up? Was he like raising up out of the water?
No,
like
he was just he was
he just
he was just laying there. But
Just chilling.
yeah, but every damn animal you could. I mean, they had a stuffed giraffe for God's sake.
That's wicked.
And a hippo head.
man, I
You know?
haven't been there in so long.
Poor
Need to go back out there. I love going to Fort Worth. I love Fort Worth.
I remember the first time I heard I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. I was like a kid, and I was like, "Can I actually get one of those? Is that like a real
Realize that
thing?
was on the table.
like a little mini hippo? That'd be awesome. So cute." I remember my grandma, and I saw this like on. I want to see like say like Antiques Roadshow as I became an adult, but my grandma had these real taxidermy, and I guess it was like a theme or a thing where they're taxidermied frogs and they're like fencing with swords.
Oh yeah.
Y'all remember those?
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
cool. So all right, so I'm not because I was like, my grandma had one of those, and Jim looked at me like, what the?
Okay, so talk about taxidermied. I watched this TikTok creator like, oh gosh, this was like 2 years ago at least. And he was just talking about crazy things he found on like Facebook Marketplace for sale. And one of them was a squalet. And it was a squirrel that they turned into a wallet, like a coin purse.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I sent that to a friend of mine who's a subcontractor for us. And I was like, he gave me a squalet. I have a squalet around here somewhere that my cats like to chew on.
I'm sure they do. It's instinctual.
I want to squall it now.
But okay, so one of the owners of the company, she loves stuffed squirrels. So I bought her a stuffed squirrel, but she's got like, if you find a stuffed squirrel, she wants the stuffed squirrel. So email me your stuffed squirrel finds. Because my mom needs a Christmas gift.
They had a bunch of raccoons that were stuffed. They were playing like little banjos and then in that room I was talking about, they had another one, and they were all sitting around. It was like the dogs playing poker, except it was the family of raccoons playing poker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were cool.
No shortage of raccoons.
I always found that to be a Southern thing, right? You know, like the taxidermy thing and the whole 9 yards. But so Monica, you're from California. Do they get involved in that? Because that's
where PETA lives.
Okay, so that's what I was getting at is because outside of that, I always thought it was just a Southern thing. You know, Davy Crockett with his coonskin hat.
Okay, let me reverse that. If you get into the really rural areas of California, yes, 100%, just like the South, like hillbillies, like country folk everywhere. Like if you get back up into the mountains, you get like away from the major cities. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. When you get closer to like San Francisco and moving, Sacramento, San Francisco, moving south, like into the major metropolitan areas, you're going to encounter a lot more of No.
Yeah. It's life, man. No, but what turned me into, I guess, not thinking of it as so much a Southern thing is when I first watched Psycho and finding out that, he was a taxidermist. And I was like, oh, so that's not, that's because that was, because that was in like what I think the chick, she left New York and was driving east towards California and then ran to the Bates Motel, and Norman Bates was a taxidermist. So I was like, oh, it's not a Southern, like.
No, I mean, if you consider they hunt a lot like up in Wisconsin and Minnesota. I mean, there's taxidermy up there, beaver,
Right. Yeah.
moose. I'd love to see a taxidermy moose.
You
I
can't
love
beat
me a good
I've
stuffed
never
beaver.
seen.
You can't beat a good stuff.
Well, I mean, all the dudes love the stuffed beavers. I'm surprised
it.
there weren't a ton of stuffed beavers in that store there, sir. Playing poker.
Stuffed beavers playing poker.
Poker.
Someone's gonna lose. I'm just saying.
I mean, or with the little storefront, there's a beaver sitting there, poker in the front, poker in the rear. Was it liquor in the front? Poker in the
liquor
rear?
in the front, poker in the rear.
Bar sign.
Mustache rise, 25 cents.
Those were free.
So, how was your day, Monica? Yeah, how did it go? Was it eventful or uneventful?
It was the typical Friday. Actually, it was a pretty decent Friday because we had an office lunch. So that was a little over an hour that I got to escape. And then I came back and I had a couple of interviews that I had to conduct. And then we left early since it was Good Friday and nobody felt like doing anything. So I like those days.
I can dig it.
I mean, not super productive, but I like them.
Right. Yeah. Get to mellow out. Yeah. At my shop, I had literally 0 customers all day. Like nobody walked into the shop. But like I was telling y'all backstage, like I had to deal with all that 1 pound of grapes that I ate with Cool Whip all day long. So
you were like a little machine gun today.
Yeah, it was a semi-eventful day for me, but not in a great way. But yeah, but other than that, so tonight we're gonna go off on okay, so ipso facto, just to give you all some background. As soon as I got home, I got a new diagnostic tool for vehicles because Jen's been having some issues with her car, and we were thinking it was transmission because every time she tries to go up a hill, it kind of starts sputtering out, and it doesn't want to have any power to it. And so anyway, I got it, checked it out, and then I had to do a bunch of research on the problem, and the code that it was spitting. So I really didn't have time to look into anything in particular. What you got there, text? So I didn't really have any time to
Francisco's new statue.
I didn't really have time to look into anything special, but I figured it would be a good opportunity for us to go through a small list of things and how we feel about, because, with the paranormal world and the cryptic world and the ancient world or the flat world or whatever, there's, mostly it's kind of on a belief system, and whether you buy certain things, like, oh yeah, I believe this is that, but I believe it comes from this and not from that. Like if you take me with aliens, right? I think it's interdimensional. I don't think it's extraterrestrial. So I figured we could go around the board with that, and let the listeners see how we actually feel about a lot of these.
Let him chime in chat and DM. And I'm sure comments after this is posted.
Did you speak Latin? What did you say?
The listeners, let them chime in while they're in chat.
Oh, okay.
Through DM or through comments once this is posted.
I heard straight Latin. Portami attacca per diem. I was like,
You only know, and no.
yeah.
I know like 5 words in Latin.
Yeah, no, me. I know Tombstone.
I mean,
like
I know
that.
nominal song, like whatever it was,
Yeah.
like thing. And
Yeah,
then I know
and
how to say, that's my song. For some
Yeah.
reason, I learned that.
Catholic Church. That's the only Latin I remember.
Yeah, I didn't go to Latin mass.
I
Although I would appreciate it. I mean, I'm going to be told I'm going to hell. It may as well be in a language I don't understand, so I don't get irritated by it.
All right. Well, that's actually a good one to start off on, because one of the big theories of it is that the Catholic Church stayed with Latin dialogue for so long because you had to go to because they were the first vending machines, right? Where you put the coin in and it hit the table, dropped it in, and it would give you your holy water cup.
Mm-hmm.
So, excuse me, one of them was that the reason why they kept it in Old Latin was because that's the only way that other countries couldn't speak the language. And so they had to go in order to be saved. Like, because you can't understand the Bible, which is your savior, unless you actually go to service, or whatever.
Well, educated people spoke Latin, and that's like, not everybody was educated.
Right. Yeah, especially if you're talking to like Native Americans or like you invade.
Well, I'm thinking back in like serfdom and like people work in the fields with size, like old school. Like, but I guess into modern day, I don't know why they kept it so long. That's an interesting.
Yeah.
So you think they kept it long because?
Yeah, I think it was a money making machine because I mean, if you really did think about it, because the like the Gutenberg Bible was already in mass production. It was the first Bible in mass production, right? And so you could have easily gave that to anyone that speaks English. So that covers, a sizable portion of the continents. You know what I mean? You got, a lot of people could both speak English, or at least Old English and Latin, as well as their native language. So like it made it to where it wasn't available in the church. So in order to go understand when the priest is going, you have to actually attend service where you're expected to pay, tithes and such, stuff like that. So I buy it, I'll subscribe to it because, it's a money hungry thing to me, not just the Catholic Church, but churches.
The church wants money. What?
Well, yeah.
What? What? Why does Jesus need money?
Yeah,
I've never heard such a thing.
It's not just for your
Why
good.
does God need money?
Yeah.
What?
That's another big one, but I won't touch that one with a 10-foot pole. But yeah, that's another big one, the old school. But yeah, it's even gotten to the point where now they got like not PayPal, but what do you call it, like card readers, and they pass those along with the.
Really?
Yeah, it used to be just the bucket, right, or the little net that.
Yeah, it was the little collection plate, right?
The connection plate, connection plate, yeah. But no, now they got it to where you can just debit, boop, boop, and put in your
All you hear
tithe.
throughout the whatever, like the churches that or the services that I've been in, they play music during the collection.
Mm-hmm.
So all you hear is like somebody up front with a acoustic guitar singing about whatever,
organ or piano.
yeah, in the most like mind-numbingly droll way, and you're boop 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 boop, like you're at the checkout at the grocery store.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. To me, it's totally inappropriate, but I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I think that part of that language barrier, a purposeful language barrier, was for that purpose. Otherwise, you would, if it was really about sharing the word, then you would accommodate instead of subjugate, if that's the proper terminology.
Well, and if you didn't believe, they just burn you at the stake anyway.
You
Heretic.
can read, which you can make people better, which you survived the plague, which
Yeah.
If she's brown, she wasn't a witch. If she's
people.
float, she's a witch.
yeah.
Hope you don't know how to
So
swim.
ask the old lady on the edge of the woods, Timmy's got a fever, she's helpful then.
Well,
God damn it, a goat keels over and she's the cause of it.
well, the thing about it is if you look into the like the Mennonites and that type of thing, or Amish, they have their own witches, and they're shunned until you need help.
Mm.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Pumpkinhead type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everyone knows about that one.
Yeah,
on the edge of town, but unless you need,
they're just old witches. Yeah.
Well, it appears that my hypocrisy knows no bounds.
Yeah, this is funny.
I'll be damned. This is funny.
So yeah, I guess that was my first one to throw out. Monica, you got one to chunk into the mosh pit?
Yeah, so I was thinking about, like, do you believe, do you not believe? What do you guys think? I think we might have talked about it before, but it's a topic I always like to revisit. So, Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick, right? His last big thing before he passed away. And there's conspiracies that he was killed because of it. And then also that the movie itself, well, I guess they're kind of tied together, that he was killed because of the movie, because the movie was disclosing what actually happens in Hollywood, like behind the scenes, or during, like, the super elites, like the 1%, like the Bilderbergs. So what do you guys think about that?
Okay, you take it first.
Well, if that was the case, do you think the movie would have ever even made it to screen over the 1 or 2 years that it took to make the movie?
Well, they did cut like 14 whole minutes out of it. So there's a huge section cut out of it.
Yeah, there's a section out. And I think that Hollywood soft discloses anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, don't you think once they found out what he was doing, they'd have knocked him off before he finished the film? They were that worried about it getting out.
That's like
all these people talking about every time their internet glitches or whatever, that the men in black are listening in, or it's the adversary himself, not wanting us to get the truth out. Come on, people, get over yourself. Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, they did that also, like in, I think that was a big coming out, and what that was, like late 70s, early 80s, like even with Rosemary's Baby, you know what I mean? Like that was kind of one of those elitists working for the adversary, to bring in, to usher in the new world. I'll leave it at that, but I don't want to get you know, because they're like,
So was
"You're
the Omen.
nobody breathing."
If
The
you watch
Omen.
the whole Omen, if you watch the whole Omen series,
Yeah.
that I think is very, very close. I really do. I think
Right.
that's very close to what's going to go down. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't kick it out of bed. I think that the Kubrick thing, though, personally, I don't think he got. Y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all know me well enough. Where I'm going to go with this, but I don't think that that's what got him removed, so to speak.
Epstein.
I think it was because he was coming up off of the Apollo 11 filming, you know, the moon landing filming, because if you watch The Shining, there's a ton of subliminal stuff in there that puts it on that he was in fact the director on the moon landing films, you know. So I think, but I do believe that, yeah, I believe the Eyes Wide Shut thing, he was hitting a little too close to home, but I think he really got taken out because of the Apollo mission. Because the numbers on the door, the little kid wearing the Apollo 11 T-shirt, the carpet is literally the grid pattern for the launching rockets that they had from Overview. And when he's playing with the cars, the grid patterns open one way, and then when they switch the camera into the next scene, it's closed off by all of his little cars and all that, like saying that it didn't happen. There's a whole I think it's on Netflix, I might be wrong, but there's a whole documentary about, and it's like a 2-hour documentary that shows that two together. And then they found all the paperwork after he was deceased from his wife, and she found a whole jumble of it that was considered classified information that was seized. Yeah. So that's me. Yeah. What do you think, Monica?
I don't know that he was killed for any particular reason.
Right.
But I do think that the movie is, I do think those types of things happen.
Yeah,
like,
it's very revealing.
Like all of it. I think it's super secretive like that. I think that it is just a select few that are participating in it. I do think, just like in the movie, if somebody were to stumble on that or somebody started squawking about it, they are short-lived for this world.
Yeah. Just like Bohemian Grove. I mean, we already got
Yeah.
like kind of half the proof. You know what
See,
I mean?
I know Bohemian Grove, I think I don't think it's the place that it was like 20, 30 years ago, right? I think that it's way too well known now. Like everybody's talking about it. Everybody's got a conspiracy. Do they still meet there? Yeah, I know they do.
Yeah, right.
They still meet there every year, but are the people that are meeting there the caliber of people that were going like 30, 40, 50 years ago? No.
Right.
There's another gathering place that those people are going to.
It became too much of a hot spot. So yeah.
And it's easy to sneak in now. Like you'll get arrested. Just to get arrested, they'll still kick you off. You know, but so many people have found routes in there. Like they're dogged. Like some people are just taking the direct route or, you know, the easy path. But I've watched videos of people that literally hiked over the mountain, and it's dangerous because it's not a great big giant mountain, but it's a lot of dead leaves. It's a lot of deadfall, and they're doing it at night. So security can't see them. And it's just really dangerous, but they're getting in there. They're getting in there. And there was one released this past summer of the meeting. And this guy was super close. And I was, you know, telling my husband, I don't know how they don't see him sitting. I mean, they're not looking, you know, security I'm sure is, but he must have been camouflaged really well because he couldn't have been.
Isn't that the one where Yeah, isn't that the one where he had like overview, like he was like almost like in a tree limb or something, and like
Yeah, and they're like
filming
walking
it
on the
from
path
above?
directly below him.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you can
yeah,
hear like the whole cremation of care ceremony from that,
yeah.
and you can kind of see it through the trees. It's kind of far away from the pond and the owl, but you can see the procession coming down below him.
Yeah. So yeah, I do buy the soft disclosure thing also. I mean, I think
Yeah.
because it's just like a lot of these uh, movies that come out that on subjects that we believe in, whether it's aliens or vampires and stuff like that, they kind of let it out to where I guess maybe later on, if it does pop off as fact, that you were kind of forewarned, or kind of already processing that that's an actual thing, know.
I think, I don't know, like the people that don't look at it as soft disclosure, when weird things start happening around them, I just wonder, like, do they even like reference back to the movies? Do like not the exact scenario, but a similar scenario, let's say, starts playing out, or I wonder if they're even going to connect the dots.
Or even just to make you look like a nut bar. I mean, if
we already look like nut bars.
Yeah, but I mean, just like verbalizing it to somebody else. If you saw a dog man, like you might instantly revert to werewolf. You know what I mean? And be like, and then if you go to somebody and go, dude, I saw a werewolf last night.
They're gonna be like,
oh yeah. So hand over whatever you were eating or smoking.
Yeah, give me the mushrooms.
So Tex, you got one for us?
So we kind of touched on it with the whole Kubrick thing, the moon landing.
Okay.
I had a conversation the other day with somebody, and they don't believe that we ever went to the moon. Okay.
Mm.
I believe we went to the moon, but I'm not completely convinced we got there like they say, because it makes the math ain't mathing. We had the technology to go there in this, 69, I think it was.
Right, 69.
And we've got more computing power in our phone than they did in that whole system in NASA at this point. But we don't have the technology to go back. Now we're talking about going back, but I think we went, but I don't think we got there without help. Okay. And I think that it's possible that help was revoked.
Okay.
And that's why we haven't been back.
Okay.
I think deals were made, and
No, that actually opens up a new chapter in my nugget. I mean, y'all know where I stand, but because like you were saying, I think the original 8-bit Nintendo NES system had more computing power than the shuttle that took us to the moon. Yeah. And now we are advanced so hard, and you can watch interviews with NASA employees, and they're like, no, we just don't have that technology anymore. We lost it. And it's like, I don't know if you ever watched like any of those movies where, they're basically doing all the math in these huge, long thousands of pages. Right. And now we got computers that could do that, in a millisecond.
Right.
And, so yeah, but y'all know where I stand. I don't think any of it was real. I think it was all staged. And I think it had a lot to do with the Russian space race, and all that to prove that we were the dominant technological corporation or country, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. But yeah, no, but that does, that does open a new chapter in my mind about how, um, yeah, about how it's shut down for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
in
pretty
short,
cool.
you could say, okay, this for argument's sake, say we went to the moon. Okay.
Mhm.
You could say, in short, condense it down to one word that got us there: ego.
Mhm.
Because we had to be the best. We had to be the first. And the Russians beat us to the first punch with Sputnik.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah.
And they refused to let that happen again. So they were willing to take any chance they had to take to get somebody on the moon. So ego. If indeed we went, and I do think we went, ego got us there.
Yeah. It's not to Monica's next obviously, but I just wanted to chunk this one in there. This is a little bit ridiculous. So, but I watched it, and if you remember the 3 cats that escaped from Alcatraz, if you do like the video, symmetry on their faces, it's the same as the Buzz Aldrin and Armstrong, and
they're all clones.
yeah. Well, no, that they purposely escaped them to be actors. They were the actors that actually did the moon landing. Like I said, it's ridiculous. I'm not saying I subscribe to it, but I found it.
That's reaching awfully far for me.
Entertaining. Let's just put it that. I found it entertaining.
Sure.
Yeah. So how do you feel about it, Monica? What do you think about the moon landing?
So for the longest time, I was like, yes, we went there. Yeah, we went there. But I'm still leaning more towards, yeah, we went there. But there are some things that I don't understand in my limited capacity of like astrophysics and things like that. So I have a hard time. The thing that I have the hardest time wrapping my head around, and I'm sure somebody far smarter than I will be able to explain it to me, but when the pictures looking back at Earth, right? So they're there, Earth's in the background. I would expect Earth to be so much bigger than the moon.
Right.
Like so much bigger in that background. Right. I wouldn't expect it to be like, Jupiter.
Looking like, not looking like the moon is
considerably larger than it is. It seems awfully small to me for the size difference, like the moon and the Earth, right? I just feel it should be bigger in the background. But like I said, maybe somebody can explain it better than me. My limited knowledge of how shit works, maybe there's a good explanation for it. But that's what like makes me not just, we went there.
Nail in the coffin.
Right? Yeah, that's what gives me like just a lingering doubt about it. But it's very interesting the point that Tex makes that, we got help getting there and it was revoked. I think that we went there and didn't go back. I think it's because we found something. And maybe we were told not to go, like, don't show your ass around here again, kind of thing. And now the competition on Earth for rare minerals is overriding our fear of going back. So that's why they're talking about doing it now. That's what I think.
I can dig it.
So ego got us there in the first place, but greed's going to take us back.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's definitely a logical argument. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Because but okay, so let me bring up another one. So I was watching a few of them, so I'm a little jumbled up as far as I got so many in the
Snatch
jar.
one out of the sky, Joe.
So the whole simulation, the Matrix simulation type thing.
Mm.
Okay, so one of the arguments I was watching about it is that there's a couple of them. One, 1999 was whenever the Earth ceased to exist, and this goes into also parallel dimensions or switching over into a different parallel universe or whatever. And some say 1999, and then one of their causing factors for that is how everything after 1999, like TV shows, everything remained the same all the way till present time, like hairstyles, blah blah blah. The reason why, like in early 2000s, everything starts getting repeated over and over again. Like nowadays, all the movies are getting reboots and rewritten, and so it's like there's nothing new and fresh. Everything is copying off of the generation before or the couple generations before. And then the other is it ended when the Mayan calendar ended in 2012, which is when they found the God particle, which caused the rip into the parallel dimensions. So, yeah, I mean, I personally think that there is some fuckery right there. Like, I do buy into like how the Mandela effect's really weird. How it's seemingly like we haven't progressed into anything but the screens we look at. Like if you ever read 1984, like that's exactly what they're talking about. And that was written in 48. But it's like the people will be so concentrated on looking at their screens that they won't ever look up and actually, looking at the world around them and let the world consume them. So it's our projection. This is the only thing that we have. Like, if I need to know something, it's right here in my phone. If I, and that's what I believe, and that's all the belief system that I need. So I do buy that something went down. I do buy the Mandela effect to an extent. I understand that like a lot of it is just misremembering things, like whether it's Captain Crunch or Mountain Dew or Mountain Dew, like, like, okay. One instance is, Jif peanut butter. They go, oh, Jif was peanut butter, and I'm like, no, because Choosy Mom's, it was Jiffy, and then I'm like, no, it's Choosy Mom's Choose Jif. Like I remember that commercial from when I was a kid.
Jiffy Pop popcorn.
Yeah, Jiffy Pop popcorn, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So with the parallel dimensional universe thing, how do y'all feel about that? And we'll go with ladies first.
So I think that it's possible that the universe is kind of crossed. So if you ever watch space or science documentaries, I know you probably don't, Joe, but you'll see two
I used to.
universes, right, colliding. Like right now, Milky Way and Andromeda are coming together. They disperse and then they reform. Right? Slightly different. They'll eventually come together again in a reformed universe. So what if our dimensions did something similar, right? They'd come together and then they're reforming in similar but different way, if that makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. So I could buy that. I do think that something happened. What it was, I don't know. Do I think CERN's behind it? Probably, but the first time I heard about one of those colliders, because they were building one here in Texas. Remember that,
Yeah,
Ted?
it was originally.
They just
Yeah.
pulled the plug on that one.
Yes, and I was thinking, hell no, I don't want to be anywhere. I mean, I don't want to be on the earth when those things collide, but I sure don't want to be standing on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So-
that thing was going all around the Metroplex, man.
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, it was
Well,
a giant loop.
One of the things I heard about that, it wasn't on the proper ley line, so they moved it down to Cern, Switzerland, because kind of like it wasn't on the ley line that it needed to be on. Kind of like, remember that cat that built the Coral Castle, and
Yeah.
he moved it south because that was on the same latitudinal line.
66
Yeah.
parallel.
66 parallel. There you go, Tech. See? Hell
Yeah, I can't remember what the official reason was for shutting it down here, but I was not sad when they stopped it. But I was very concerned when I found out it just moved across the ocean.
Yeah.
I can't say it's not possible. I will say this. When you mentioned 1984, okay, not the book, but just the year.
Mm.
Okay. Great year.
Yeah, Ghostbusters tried to tell us, do not cross the streams, folks.
Do not
I'm
cross.
just saying. In 1984, they told us that shit.
Hey, there was an American Horror Story 1984.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a
Yeah.
disclosure of kind of, yeah.
Back to the Future, 1984. Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, if you look like so let's look back at the 50s, okay? What do you know what year that Buck Rogers was
In the
supposed
21st century.
I always
Yeah.
think of Duck Dodgers in the 20s.
That's where I went with it.
but it was supposed to have taken place in 1997.
Where are my flying cars?
Exactly.
Where's my intergalactic space travel that's so easy?
Yeah.
Where's my hoverboard?
Yeah.
Damn it. No, but
So, I don't know. Is it possible that we got? Yeah, I guess it is. I mean, anything's possible. I think it's just a lack of imagination, because how long have we been bitching about why are they redoing this movie? Why are they redoing that movie? You know, I mean, we got movies out there that's been redone 3 or more times.
Now.
Mhm.
You know,
But you know what? I mean, it's very unoriginal. It's lazy in Hollywood right now, right? It's just laziness. They see something that made a lot of money or had promise, but they didn't have the effects back then. Oh, we can make so much. It's all about just dollars and shit about anything else, obviously.
Right.
But
I mean, I was all on board with the redoing the Star Wars thing and adding all the special effects and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
until you saw
I
Jar
saw
Jar
what it-
Binks.
until I saw what it did to the movies, and then I was like, "Oh my god!" But I did like the aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? But
I would like to see a remake of Creature from the Black Lagoon.
yes,
If they do it right, if they CGI it,
No, practical effects.
Yeah.
CGI. I hate CGI.
Yep. That would be just, with honestly to make, and do we want to get on that subject? Because honestly, to me, that was probably the best Hollywood
Oh yeah.
practical effect costume that they ever put out.
It's still one of the best. Yeah, I mean, today, like to right now, that's still one of the better
to
ones.
do all that and to do all of that and make it waterproof and look as good as it did.
Yeah.
and that old. And
Yeah.
that
I
old.
mean, from like over, gosh, what's it been? Like 70 something years?
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. But yeah, of course, that's mine and Monica's favorite
Universal.
Hollywood monster. So
now I will say
Universal.
that the Creature from the Black Lagoon is holding up with time. The werewolves from The Howling,
Yeah.
are like some of the best. They even, I mean, I would say Dog Soldiers is a close second, but like they still had, I don't know, a lot of human-y features, whereas the werewolves in The Howling, the practical effects, they were 100% like
Right.
transformed. There wasn't any, rippling abs on them like you see in Dog Soldiers. These were like standing dogs. So I think that stands up for sure over the years.
Well, that's like the whole change scene, and as far as I'm concerned, the wolf itself in American Wolf in London.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that was the beginning of
That's a
bladder
werewolf.
effects.
Yeah.
Yeah, American Werewolf in London.
yeah,
It just draws out so long. It's a wonderful effects. It's wonderful practical effects. The transformation scene is like still an outstanding practical effects.
That one just pissed me off because he was still a big freaking thing, and then like the next time you see him, he's a blue healer, and I'm like,
No,
he was like all little like a dog, but just mean.
what?
Like when the kill scene in American Werewolf in London, he's not like this. He's not as big as a man, but like, okay, so whenever he was transforming, like his knuckles were stretching out, so he had to be in like, like a 7 foot, 6.5, 7 foot dog. And then whenever he's coming out of the movie theater, and the chick's trying to coerce him down, it looks like a freaking like a 5 foot blue healer. I'm like, but I digress. But,
well, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's wonderful. It's awesome. Everybody wants a big, scary werewolf. If you stop and look at that thing is terrifying.
Oh yeah,
if you
absolutely.
really get a good look at that, like the jaws on that thing, and compared to the size of the people, like it's scary. I wouldn't want to see it. But I like practical me is like, okay, mass, let's consider mass. You can't change mass. If you're 150 pounds an hour, you're going to be 150 pounds as a werewolf. You don't suddenly bulk up another 400 pounds. That's like, where's that coming from? Where is that coming from? So, I mean, physics as I understand it doesn't happen.
yeah. I can dig that.
I mean,
so where were we at? That was
whose turn is it?
Yeah.
Is it my turn? Let me get my list.
Get my list.
Let me consult the list here. Okay. So keeping kind of in the same vein of what we were talking about. So technology over the last 75 years, let's say, right, has grown exponentially. If you take a 75-year period, like anywhere in the past, like it's insane the amount of revolutionary technology,
advancements in technology. Correct. Yeah.
So do you think that we had some help, like some otherworldly help, some extra help in the development of all of this?
Yeah. I'll let Tex go first, but yeah, I got one on.
I do. I do, because again, the math don't math.
Yeah.
We went for, oh shit.
You keep doing that, dude. Did you move? Is there something new?
No, you know what it is? My mouse is down. My mouse cord goes down and then up like that to the other side of my computer. And I need to practice some cable management. Here's what I need to do.
The mouse ain't mousing.
Yeah, mouse ain't mousing. Keeps trying to run off. But we depending on what you believe, we've either been around for 3,000 to 4,000 years, or we've been around for millions of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I don't care which which one you believe. You're right. You don't see that jump anywhere.
Mm-mm.
You know, the Industrial Revolution, that's where it starts.
Mm-hmm.
And then pow, you know, we're going from horse and buggy.
Well, it's a steady progression. And then all of a sudden we go from computers the size of a classroom, if it's small, to this, right? In the span of 50 years?
50 years. Yeah.
Well, it's not even that. If you want to look at it this way, look at the late 80s, the mid to late 80s. How big was a phone?
Oh, sure.
You had to carry it in a suitcase.
It was like this sized, right?
Yeah. You know,
it was called the brick, and it had
it was literally a brick with an antenna sticking out of it.
Or you had a bag phone.
You had a bag that had the whole thing,
And then, like in the early 2000s, they were seeing how small they could make them, and they came up with these damn phones that were like this, which were useless as far as I'm concerned. But and now we're going the other way. How big can we make these things that people can carry? I've seen people carrying like things that like this damn big and talking on them. It's a tablet. Yeah, it's come on, people. But anyway, what I'm saying is, I remember in 1992 when I first got into the whole data center scene. Okay, the building that I started out in was we had 2 floors. It was IBM. The whole complex was IBM, and the building I was in, we had 2 floors of one section of the building. The building was set up in pods. You had, A, B, C, D, E, F, and they were all 3-story until you got to E and F, and then they were 5 stories. Well, the last 2 stories in those pods were data floors. Okay. In 1992, when I started, it was these huge freaking room size tape to tape or reel to reel tape magnetic tape. Magnetic tape processors, databases and everything. That's what it was. You see them back in the 1950s, right? Mm-hmm. In the old movies. That's what we still had in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. Now you can take that entire floor of computers or information, and it's in one server. One freaking server, the size of a freaking laptop.
If not in one chip,
exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, that's an awful lot of advancement, man. I mean, I think we had help. I really do.
Yeah.
So, do y'all think it was advancement given, or like more of a reverse engineering type of thing?
I think it may have been a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I'll go with
I think a lot of it was given when we saw other technology. Like, we were made aware of it. And it's probably a little bit of attempts to reverse engineer, but you don't know, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It's like handing a caveman a tablet and asking him how it works. Yeah. You don't know what you can reverse. You can tear it apart and look at it and make guesses, and it's but there's got to be hope in there, for it to have gone as fast as it did.
Yeah. Because there is a when I studied computer science and robotics engineering, there is a, I forgot what the dude's name is, but it's a law, and it started in the mid to late 40s,
Talking
and
about the
it's
robotics law.
not the robotics law, but it's the law that every 6 months technology will double itself.
Right.
You know, and but that only started then. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what happened to that before that point? You know, in the timeline,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, because
why
that didn't start. That didn't kick off till computer chips came about, right?
Well, yeah, Transformers basically
Yeah.
is where it was. Yeah, once transformer or not transformers, transistors.
Transistors.
Once
Yeah.
transistors kicked in, it was over and done with. Then you had like diodes and, you know, all this other technologies coming out, and then now you can fit. Well, I remember when I was working at AMD and IBM, whenever Austin became like the Silicon Valley of Texas, you could fit, I forgot how many thousands it was, transistors on like 1/4 inch silicone, you know,
Right.
piece, because this, you know, the what do you call them, the discs, and each disc had, you know, 1,000 of them on it, you know, and so you're talking one of those things, and then you rewind it, and in the 70s, if you had a freaking transistor radio, like you were, you know, and it'd have the big prong thing with the three, you know, soldered into the, you know, and it was like, no, we don't even do that, you know, and then you got multiple levels on those silicone pieces, so it was, you know, it was just mind blowing.
Well,
You
look
know,
at the jump. Look at the jump as far as technology goes, just in screens.
yeah,
You know, I mean, you know, we of course the big thing there for a while was, you know, plasma. Well, they found out
oh
that
yeah,
didn't work worth a shit. You know,
yeah.
but now we got LEDs. You know, and liquid crystal. You remember liquid crystals? When the liquid
LCD,
crystal
yeah.
screens were the shit. I
Yep.
remember that.
Yeah, LCD was the top of the line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it went tube, then it went projection, if I remember correctly, then plasma, then LCD, and then now it's LED technology. Yeah, technology. Yeah. Which is it's a higher resolution than most of our eyes can even intake. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, if I can't see 4,000 pixels in a square inch. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, like, so what's the point of, you know, it's almost like, it kind of makes you wonder, like, you know, what would be the point of making a TV that could have infrared if your visual spectrum couldn't even see it, you know?
Right.
Yeah. It's
Of course, now your TVs, you're not only watching them, they're watching you.
They're watching you. Yeah. That's what electrical tape is for. Cover up that camera. While I'm on camera saying that shit. But yeah, no, I agree. I think that yeah, there was some kind of, now I'm not gonna call it extraterrestrial, you know, input, but okay, so if you even go
Well,
back
space
to,
doesn't exist, so ETs don't exist.
right. But if you even go back into ancient Egypt, you know, like when they talk about thought, you know what I mean? Like, he was the original, like they were on the Stone Age, and he came through. He was, you know, in the Emerald Tablets, and the history goes that he came through and he taught, you know, mankind metallurgy. You know, he taught them, you know, all mathematics, written language, because before that it was like Sanskrit, you know, but if you just by my interpretation, if you go into it, it was like more of a demonic, more of a magic, in that world to teach them, and then let them do it. They will, just like the Anunnaki and all of that. So, but, not saying that that's what it is, even though I do subscribe to that, but it's more of a spiritual thing to help us push each other against each other. You know what I mean? Like, what's that when it's the Hindu, it's not the Book of the Dead, but it's the Hindu book that has all the nuclear explosions and all the pictures on it are like spaceships fighting spaceships, and they got rockets and stuff like that. So, and they consider them gods, because anything that's bigger than yourself, if you're in a primitive ideology, in a primitive mind state, if you saw someone flying, that would be a god to you,
Right.
So yeah, whether it was alien or spiritualistic or any of that, or even a distraction to keep you away from your belief system and your faith, that's where I kind of go with it, even though that sounds really weird. Yeah.
Well, who's up?
I think it might be me. Because that was yours, right, Tex? That one?
That was Monica's.
Oh, that was Monica's. Well, then you're up, Tex.
Okay. So this comes from my grandson today. Okay. And it was, out of the mouths of babes, right? He's 7 years old. And we was walking back to the car. And I believe it was we had left the park and we were going back to the car. Yeah, and we went by the river and everything, and that's what keyed this up. He goes, "What if like the whole world was covered with water?" And I was like, "You mean like, Noah and that time?" And he said, "Well, no, I mean like now, what?" He goes, "Like, what would we be like?"
Like Waterworld?
Yeah. And I looked at him, I said, "Well, I guess we'd probably all have gills and webbed feet, Right. And, my wife says, "Well, I probably wouldn't have my fear of water." I hope not. But what do y'all think about Atlantis?
That's a good one. Ladies first. Ladies first. You're muted. We can't hear you.
I forgot I muted my mic. I was over here messing with something. So I think that there was definitely an advanced civilization somewhere in the world.
Yes.
Right. I think that, but let's consider advanced compared to what? Let's consider the time, right? Let's consider the time. So I don't know what to think. I mean, I think there was, like I said, an advanced civilization, whether they sank under the waves or, they were there, the flooding of the Younger Dryas overtook them. I don't know. But I think that there's something to it. I can't really, because I hear so many different things. It's hard for me to pinpoint a belief on any one thing. It's just a very blanketed general. Yeah, right. I think there was something somewhere at some point in time, but like, I don't necessarily subscribe to, they were on an island and all of a sudden, cataclysm struck and they were all just suddenly, under the waves, never to be seen again. Like, islands don't generally just do this. And if a tidal wave came and washed over it, there would be remnants there would be something.
Right.
There would still be a landmass there usually. I mean, but I don't know. I don't know what to think any farther than, yeah, I think there was something somewhere at some point in time. Do I think they built huge monuments and left them and the Native Americans were wandering around with humongous structures behind? No, I don't believe that.
That would be the Tartarians. No,
I don't believe that at all.
No, I mean, if you're done, if you got more to spit on.
No, I'm good. That's my blanket. Yeah, something somewhere.
Now, I think that Atlantis was part. Okay, so if I go into the belief system of the Anunnaki and all that, then it was the ones that got too smart, because they were gene splicing to make slaves to harness gold out of the earth for the atmosphere and the Nibiru and yada yada yada. So if you go into that, but then they accidentally spliced it hard enough to where there was a higher advanced civilization that rolled in, and then they got too big for their britches, so they had to, wipe out the whole thing, which is basically the story, the Sumerian story of the creationism of our civilizations. And then Gilgamesh was just like Noah on a boat to repopulate the earth and yada, yada, yada. But I do find it weird how, because the only time Atlantis is really mentioned was from Plato. And he was talking about how his uncles, don't misquote me on this, but I think it was his uncles, he went to a place in Africa and they talked about his family member from 9,000 years ago. And he was the actual dude that spotted Atlantis. Plato didn't spot it. He was just telling a story that he knew passed down to him. But if you do the math, the 9,000 years plus the years that Plato was, it comes out to about the 12,000 to 13,000 year mark from where we are today, which is the Younger Dryas. And then you take into consideration in the what would it be, the northwestern region of Africa, there's like, it's where it's desert and the Sahara Desert and all that. I think it's the Sahara Desert. There's a 3-ring place just like it was. And when archaeologists and all them go there, they find evidence of whale bones, sea salt in the sand. Now, yeah, we know that the world, well, it's weird because I think so far off, but it's customary to know that in the world that land masses change. Sometimes things can be underwater that used to not be underwater. Things can be under the sea that used to not be. One of the weird ones that I disagree with is like when I drink a glass of whiskey with ice. They go, oh, the ice caps are melting, and so that raises the sea level. Well, I can have a big ass cube of ice in my whiskey, and my whiskey doesn't raise up after the ice melts. It stays the same. So to me, I call butkus, but just for shits and giggles, to entertain the purpose. Yeah, I mean, it is possibility that depending on topographical elevations and stuff, that parts of continents could have been under the ocean, and then receded, as ice caps formed, or the Earth's what do you call it? The plate shifted, you know. So I think that those two pieces of evidence, the fact that in Africa and Egypt they knew about that, and that it has to be it's on the same continent, so they, you know, it would have been like a normal thing in their world. That's a very odd coincidence, you know. So I think it could have been, and if it was from a greater power that deemed a civilization more technologically advanced than it should be, then yeah, there's whole reason to wipe them out. But, and on my final note, I will say this: the last Lestat book, where Lestat and all the vampires came from Atlantis, the book is crap, and I hate that she ended that with.
That's like the third Highlander movie.
Yeah, thank you. You summed that up beautifully. Beautifully. Yeah, but that's where I go on that. But yeah, but no, I think this was a good one. I know we're coming up on the hour and a half mark, and I don't want to keep Monica up, and I got to work tomorrow, and I don't want to keep Tex up. So, I think we're coming up. We got like 7 minutes to go. So, if we got any other book recommendations or anything like that, what was that one you were talking about? Them Across the River or something like that.
Those Across the River.
Those Across the River
Takes place in 1930s, extremely rural Georgia. You've got all the trappings you would expect from rural 1930s Georgia, but it's such an interesting take on a werewolf story, because where the werewolves originate, I haven't heard anything like that before. I mean, like the core origin, they don't really, you know, reveal, but these werewolves that are haunting the woods there across the river, their origin is very unique, I think.
Ooh.
And it's written very, you know, very Steinbeckish, and if that makes sense. Like, he had a very specific way of writing, and as I was going through it, I was thinking of, like, you know, The Sun Also Rises, and, you know, all of those good old books. It was written in that kind of style.
Yeah, I would recommend 1984 for anybody out there, because that's a good one.
Yeah, if you'd like to see what's going on in our current times.
Yeah, it's pretty spooky, scary, and if you, I'd have to like look it up and find a link to put it in. But there's this one dude. He's a professor at Buckfuck University. I don't remember what it is. But and he breaks it down like you know, like in hardcore detail about how technological advancements, along with the way government's turning into corporations, and, you know, all this weird shit. And like, I sat there with my uncle and listened to it, because he's a nerd. But yeah, so it can really, it gets down a lot deeper than a lot of most people can think just by reading it. But yeah, I'd recommend it, and not recommend the Lestat last book where he comes from Atlantis.
Just cut that one out. Pretend like it never happened.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of movies that pretend never happened.
I've got a movie recommendation for y'all today.
Hell yeah.
Significant Other.
Okay.
What's that sounds really familiar.
It does, doesn't it?
It's about a couple it's about a couple in the woods.
Oh, never mind.
Have y'all ever seen Landmine Goes Click?
No.
Not that I can think of, no.
You ever seen Darkly Noon?
No.
Yeah. No, I have not seen Landmine Goes Quick.
But yeah,
I've
that's
seen
another
the brown-eyed moon.
But no, Significant Other. I watched the other night, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Cool.
You need to watch it.
Is it a horror movie? Is it a drama?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a horror movie.
Okay. Is it a monster movie, a psychological thriller, a slasher?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All
Okay.
the and above.
So guess what? I'm going to see Sinners tomorrow.
I was gonna say.
I bought my tickets. I'm gonna go see it.
Dope.
So we will get a review of it without any spoilers tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, when like at
Oh wait a minute, no, who's got a show set? Oh, that's BMR. Never mind.
yeah, that's raw. And I wouldn't talk about it anyway. I'm gonna talk about it on my show.
If y'all ever hear like dragging when I'm doing this, it's because with the round, I always make a wang and balls with my. So I have to.
I
draw
just can't
my
help
hand.
it. That's the OCD.
I got to do it with the condensation. You know, it makes.
Oh, I have another movie recommendation for you, Breezy.
What you got?
Oh, I just had it on the. God damn it! I just thought of it, and it just Strange Wilderness. I know you've already seen it. Watch it again.
Strange Wilderness. What? Oh, with the. Yeah.
When they're like tripping out on the nitrous in the camper.
The turtle part's my favorite.
The turkey.
Yeah. Or yeah,
I'm gonna have to watch
that.
that. I've never seen it.
Oh, good God. You've got to see
dude.
it. If you liked Euro Trip, you will love Strange Wilderness.
If you're drinking, where it depends.
And it's got a Bigfoot in it for a brief second.
You will trickle a little bit laughing. So
yeah,
hard.
I got drunk and went to the movies and saw that. I was laughing. So I thought they were going to kick my ass out of the movie.
That shark part is just, oh my God.
The goblin shark.
Yeah, the goblin shark. Yeah.
He's a nature documentary like host taking over for his father's old show, and he just sees the stoner. He sucks at it. It's hilarious.
Goblin shark turns into a dorkfish.
Yeah.
What do you tell you about them dang don't corn dogs? I said, what's corn dog doing down there?
Was talking about his drawing there on the table. It reminds me of the scene where they're tripping out on nitrous, and the guy like spray paints and he's pretending everyone made me think of that.
No, that's a great one. Oh, dude. Yeah, I'll definitely get that in.
I'm going to have to go watch that now. Text Chris. I'm going to watch it. And I need to watch Euro Trip because Michelle Trachtenberg died, and I felt really bad about that. She died a while ago, and they just released her cause of death here the last couple of days ago.
Who's I don't know names, so.
She was like, did you watch? I know you probably didn't. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV show.
Yeah.
Okay, so the younger daughter, Buffy's younger sister. That's Michelle Trachtenberg. She's in Euro Trip. She's the girl of the twins.
Yeah, the sister.
Yeah.
Where they drink the absinthe.
Died like she was only like 39. She was so young, but
died of diabetes. Yeah.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. It'll get you.
That sounds suspect to me.
My grandfather died from that, so it doesn't sound suspect to me.
Well, at 39, like that's.
Well, if you don't take care of it, it doesn't matter. People, it didn't say if she had type 1 or type 2. It's easy to slip into a coma. Technically, that's what my first husband died from.
This is true. No, you're right. Because like I had to lower my blood sugar medication because I was going like Michael J. Fox on it. Like I was like, I told my dad, I went the other day and I was like, no, I had to cut those in half because they're,
I had to do that with my blood pressure medication because, I have to, bend down, I have to squat, I have to like get up and down a lot at work like in the when I'm in the field on job sites, and I was like fixing some things, and I'd stand up, and everything would go tunnel vision.
Tunnel vision, yeah.
Yeah, and it was because my blood pressure was so low, so I had to do that. I had to start cutting my blood pressure meds in half.
Yep.
And then I went to the doctor and told him what was going on, thinking he'd write me a script for like a lower dosage. He just told me to cut my freaking pills in half. Kept my prescription the same dose, just cut them in half. I was like, why don't you prescribe something at a lower dose so I don't have to stand in my kitchen for a fucking half hour cutting like 30 pills in fucking half.
Yeah. No, that's the exact same. Yeah. That's the exact same thing. Because I went and I told him, yeah, I had to cut mine in half. And he's like, oh, well, instead of taking it twice a day, just take them once a day. And I'm like, okay. Like, great job, Doc. Now I know why you make 80 grand a year.
Yeah, I was like, I'm over here jacking, like mixing prescriptions, like cutting pills in half. My doctor's like, nah. See how that works out.
Okay, so here's what happened. She had a liver transplant.
Okay.
And yeah, she had a liver transplant and then contracted diabetes.
Mm.
And died from complications of diabetes. Yeah.
Even more suspect. Go in for a normal procedure and come out with.
I don't know. A liver transplant's a little bit more than
pretty major
tonsils out or something.
It's probably one of the major things you can have.
I know. Yeah. There's just no way I can stop my conspiracy mind from working. It's just, it is what it is. I'm like, went to the doctor, huh? Didn't come out the same way. Well, all right, y'all. Well, appreciate all y'all for having us in the chat. We reached our hour and 30-minute mark, and I'm gonna try to keep it at about that, because once we get to midnight, like, I don't know about the rest of the crew, but like, I always wake up feeling like total ass. So, I'm like, because by the time I get off, then I go, hang out with wifey, and then go shower, and then watch my nightly whatever. Movies, No, but I just, I just feel like, I just feel run down. So we're going to keep it like this. And I appreciate everyone for coming in and tuning in and being in the chat. Anybody got anything to say? Got anything coming up, Tex?
Well, I'll be on Paranormal Portal tomorrow night, and then Sunday on Southern Belle Bigfoot, we're interviewing Anita Collier. She created and hosts the Alabama Bigfoot Conference. And if you haven't caught the interview I posted, I found this interview from last year that Monica set up for me, actually. That was on when I was on Talk of Alabama. It's their morning show out there. And it's my first time in a TV studio and that type of thing. It was kind of cool. But I was looking for stuff, and I was just looking for random crap, and this pops up, right? And so I posted the interview on my channel right before this show started, actually. If you want to get a good laugh at the fat man in the hat, go watch that. But yeah, that's going to be a good interview, because she's had some Bigfoot experiences here recently, so we're going to talk about that.
Are you going to do the Night Owl on Sunday?
Possibly,
if you feel up to it. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, if you're down to do it, just I'm just a text away.
And tomorrow is my wife's birthday, so
sure she's thrilled you'll be on Paranormal Portal for that.
Well, all right.
Probably I might take the night off. So
yeah.
Well, all right. Well, everybody out there, thank you for tuning in once again, and everybody, y'all have a good night.